Hello world, Steve Landau here with Julie Stark from EmbRace Tucson, Embrace Your Inner Athlete. Today we are so fortunate to have with us Leah Smith, Olympic gold medalist. That's saying something. That is really gets me excited as a swimmer. So glad to have you here, Leah. I'm going to give you just a little bit of Leah's background so all our viewers know what a stud you are.
Wow, thank you.
You're welcome. Leah is a U.S. swimming national team member. She's a 2016 Rio Olympics bronze medalist in the 400 free and a gold medalist in the 800 free relay. She's a three-time world champion, bronze in the 400 at the 2019 World Championships, and a four-time world champion medalist. Four-time NCAA champion in the 500 free and the 1650. She had the I don't know if you still do, but the NCAA record in the 1650 free and the 1,000 free in the same swim. Very impressive.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't have it anymore, but used to.
The second fastest female 500-meter swimmer ever. So, Leah, thank you for being with us. We are honored. Want to ask you a few questions about your athletic endeavors and just want to find out how your athletic life has changed during this new abnormal time, the mental side, the physical side. Give us your lowdown.
Yeah, so thank you for having me. Yeah, this has definitely been a really tough time, tough past few weeks, I know, for everyone. And I think it is interesting to think about different sports and how they're affected. Definitely swimming has been super affected, and with running and cycling you can still kind of do those outside, but swimming, all the pools are closed down, so we've all had to get pretty creative. But yeah, I've just kind of been, I knew when this all started that I was going to have to come up with a routine and still make goal setting really important. So I've been kind of getting up at the same time every day around 6:30 or 7, either doing a workout or making breakfast. And then over the weekend on Sundays, I kind of plan out my week and what I want to do that week. And it might not be anything huge, but it might just be small little things that I can check off or make little goals. So right now my daily goal for the month of April is doing 50 push-ups a day. I'm horrible at push-ups. So that's one thing that I knew I could focus on. And I think in this time, it's super easy to get overwhelmed with all the things you could be doing because so many people have so much time. And then I feel like that has kind of a negative effect. You don't do as much because you're overwhelmed. So I've kind of been sticking to just a small amount of things that I know I can get done. And that's been really working out for me.
Very good. Julie, you had a question.
Yeah, that kind of takes me into what I was thinking on the next question is, you were probably preparing to go to the Olympic trials in June in Omaha. And so mentally, how you're coping with that loss. I mean, truly, it's a loss. And
yeah, mentally, it has been really hard. And even though I was one of the people that advocated for the postponement, before anything had been postponed, I kind of knew that that was the right thing to do. It didn't mean that I wanted that to happen. I don't think anyone in the world wanted any of this to happen, but I still knew that there was no way that it could go on in so many different ways. But that didn't change the fact that I'm obviously been having a hard time with it, just because you lose all of your momentum, and you plan for this for so long, and everything is centered around that. Everything that I did the past year was centered around that. And I don't plan that far into the future, but there's a certain level of kind of how much mental game you have leading up, and sort of when you need to start thinking about that. And now that everything's sort of in limbo, I mean, we have a date on the schedule for Olympic trials and the Olympics in 2021, but we don't know when we're going to be able to get back in the pool. We don't know when kind of like life is going to resume the way it was before. So I think that's just really hard to think about, because if you said to me that in 2019, the year before the Olympics, would you take a month or two off in April and May and think that you would make it or do well in 2020, I would be like, probably not. But, you know, it is different because a lot of people are in the same boat. So I think that will be interesting. But I do think it's kind of like a dynamic subject, because financially, I know a lot of people are having a tough time. Like, how are they going to pay for the next year of training? Just like the resources people have available, I think it's just really tough all around. But that's why I think it's just important to, like, right now be setting like little small goals that you know you can achieve, just to stay in that mindset. I'm not waking up every day being like, I'm gonna, like, well, yeah, I can't swim, but I'm not waking up with these ginormous goals in my mind. I mean, I think it's been on my mind, like thinking about trials next year, but I'm not, try not to be anxious about it every day that goes by that we're not training.
Let me ask you this question. Julie, I tend to have you ask this one, but just to dovetail off what you said, are your competitors, maybe some of your teammates, are they swimming right now? Do they have places to swim, private pools and things like that? Or is it a more...
No, I think like so I'm unclear on the timeline of, like, because different states had different things going on. Like, I know California was shelter in place before a lot of other places were. But I was at the Olympic, so I went to a meet in Des Moines, Iowa, like the first week of March. And then I flew straight to Colorado Springs. And I was supposed to be there for a month until April. And after about a week, we started, that's kind of when NCAA's was canceled, the NBA season was canceled, and we were sort of like, should we go home? Like, what's going on? And then I didn't really want to fly though. So, and the Olympic Training Center had gotten to the point where it was like no one was allowed in and you weren't really allowed out. So we were kind of like, this seems pretty safe, like feeling okay about it. And then, but we kind of knew that things could change rapidly. And I think we were about like a week and a half into the camp, and it was maybe a Tuesday night. And that night they were like, you have to leave tomorrow. We just got the Colorado governor, like, it's out of our hands. So then we all had to fly home. And that was the beginning of like my quarantine. But yeah, I think like during that week that we got to keep swimming at the Olympic Training Center, there were people whose pools were closing, and everybody was kind of scrambling to like go to, like, oh, there's a pool and I heard someone has this pool open, or like there's a private pool here. But then so that's why I knew that it was important to advocate for the postponement, because while we were all experiencing that, people in Italy had experienced that 3 weeks prior to us. So I just knew that the playing field was not even, and knew that it was going to get even more uneven. But yeah, so after the postponement, I think everybody just kind of took a deep breath, realized that they weren't going to be opening pools back up. And so me and my friends on the national team have kind of been just like texting about stuff we've been doing to work out. So yeah, I think everybody's just like kind of trying to adjust to this new abnormal, as you said.
So is there a moratorium, or is it are people just agreeing not to swim? Maybe some people are because they have a pool in their backyard. Or...
Yeah, I think people, I mean, that would be sweet if you had a pool in your backyard. But yeah, I think everybody just like, when there were rumors of like, oh, this pool's open, or maybe that pool's open, I think that was sort of when people were trying to scramble. But now that everybody knows that it's sort of just everybody's stuck, I think now it's kind of people are just getting adjusted to doing different stuff.
Very good. Julie, one last question we have?
Yeah, so if you just had one piece of advice to give, you know, just some local athletes trying to get through this time, especially swimmers, what would you convey to them?
Yeah, I think I would circle back to my like kind of picking one little thing. I think for me in my training, I try to think about things that I really want to improve. But if I, go too big, I'm probably not gonna stick to it. So for me, like I said, the 50 push-ups a day thing, because I'm really trying to work on like my breaststroke and my walls. And I feel like that comes a lot from like the pecs. So that's just like one little example of like, just my piece of advice would be maybe take something that you're really not good at. Like I don't have really good leg strength, and I'm in quarantine. I've been trying to improve that with different like leg circuits. So just think about something that maybe you're kind of weak at and just like pick away at it slowly, because we do have the time to do that. And then I think that can give us all a sense of being accomplished for the day, because that, okay, I had nothing else to do, but I took 20 minutes a day to do this extra little thing that I have never done before. And then I think it'll be easier to stick to when we're kind of in a different schedule. So, yeah. And I would just say like in Tucson, I mean, this weather is amazing. We're really blessed. This is like probably the best place you could be. So I think just like having a sense of gratefulness for that is important to me. And I've kind of been, so I have like a little patio, and I've kind of been like making it like a nice little cute space that I want to hang out in and spend time outside. And I've got some plants, like got a nice little swing. So, and that's where I work out too. So that's kind of been doing little small things like that for myself has been really helpful.
That's wonderful. And Julie, Leah, I heard this recently. It's what you said is very true, Leah. It's about finding something you could learn, something you can do different. It doesn't have to be physical. It can be mental too. Learning something new that you've never played guitar. I don't know. It's learning something.
Yeah.
Like people doing TikTok videos. It's silly, but
yeah, I've been getting into TikTok too.
Learn something new. I have to ask you one last question, because I am a swim junkie, and then I'll let you go. Describe to us the feeling of competing at the highest level, and at the same time competing against the greatest female swimmer that you probably have tired of hearing of all the time, Katie Ledecky.
Yeah, I would say it's been about, let's see, 6 or 7 years of swimming on the national team with her, which is a really long time. And I've definitely like had a journey. Like when I first started on the national team, I wasn't in individual events at the big meets. My first meet was Pan Pacs in 2014. And I did swim individuals there, but I was like in the B final, wasn't like one of the top 2 girls. And then at Worlds in 2015, I wasn't in individual events, but I was on a relay with her. And so I would say I've kind of had like a steady climb. And by the time I was swimming in individual events in 2016, and then until now, I got to be in the races with her when she was doing some of the most incredible things, which is really cool, because a lot of people like watch them, but it's kind of different to be in them. And I think it's just been like cool for me, because I've had role models that were older than me and that I looked up to, like Katie Hoff and Natalie Coughlin, like those kind of girls. And they sort of like elevated the game, and kind of like you would see what they went and you wanted to go that too. But it's different to have someone that you're continuously competing against that just like keeps raising the bar. So I think that's really cool for women's distance swimming, because I just think that she has shown like kind of like this is the bar and just keeps raising it. And then I think like that kind of makes it so that more people can break through different barriers. I know that growing up, I always wanted to be under 4:30 in the 500 freestyle, and no woman had ever done that before. And I think Katie did it maybe in like 2015 or so. And then about 2 years later, I in my last swim ever at NCAA's, I had tried to break 4:30 every time that I swam the 500 in college. In my last swim ever, I broke it, and Katie was right next to me, and I really would attribute a lot of reaching for not just 4:30 but 4:28 to chasing after her. And so yeah, it's just really cool to be in events with her and kind of challenge myself continuously.
That's a really healthy way of looking at it, because a lot of people might take it and look at it and be jealous and envious and have all the worst traits, but you take it the right way and try to raise your level, raise your game, and that's what happens with professional athletes. Thank you so much for sharing all of this with us. It's really special to have someone of your stature telling us where you're at and what you're doing these days, and we wish you the very, very best in getting back, getting your feel back, getting your speed back, your pace back, and we're going to look for you in 2021 to kick some ass.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Yes.
Thank you, Leah. I'll be maybe adding that 50 push-ups a day challenge to my workout.
Yeah, you should. Well, I actually started it because a national teamer tweeted that he was doing 100 push-ups a day.
Oh.
And he tweeted his time and is hoping to beat it every day. So then I was just curious how long it would take me to do 100. And in the time that he did 100, I did 50. And I was like, you know what? I think maybe 50. I'm really bad at them. I'll just stick with 50. Don't want to send it too much. So yeah, I think it's going to be good. I'm hoping to get some cannons after this on my arms.
You're not competitive, are you?
Huh?
You're not competitive, are you?
Yeah.
Well, thank you again. We really appreciate it. Best of luck. Go USA.
Thank you. Go USA. Okay. Bye.
Bye.